Alright, Media Estate YouTube channel we're leading the President for Moses Magogo. President, Ogenzo Nogamba press conference is a luxury for us to ask the style of play. Don't you think as Ugandans we have a right to ask for the style of play? Because in any case, the Tumaina style of play out we play.
No, I'm thinking we have tuline ebizibu ebisookerwako byetanaba kusolvinga bwe tutandika okusaba nti tuwangudde naye tuwangudde tutya. I think the point gye mbadde ngezaako kukola nti singa tusobodde okuwangula mu mbeera gye tukoleramu kati tusooke tufune ekyo then tunoonye tuwangudde tutya mu style. Sirowooza ntwatuuse ku level egamba nti tuwangudde naye tuwangudde bubi nga tukyalina ebintu bingi ebiraakinga. Tetunaba kukola academies zisobola kusomesa abaana baffe mupiira kuvanga abaana bato okubateekamu ebyo ebitone okukuza ebyo ebitone byabwe n'okubijjayo nga bwe birina okuba. Tetulina na facilities ng'ebisaawe mwe tulina okukolera ebintu ebyo. So bwe tuvaayo saawe ne tutandikira ekyokugamba nti nga wadde tuwangudde tetuli basanyufu olwa style. Nze ndowooza nti tuba tweryazamanya ndowooza twandikiriza ekibaddewo ntusobodde okuwangula then ne tusooka ne tudda ku kizibu ekirala kye tulina ekyebikozesebwa abatutendeka then yawo tujja kusaba style naye bwe tutandikira ku style ndowooza tuba tubuuse eddaala erisooka.
Ensonga ya style twaba ne disabre wano naye nga tusamba omupiira ngulina style ne direction nga tufuna results. That's why most of Ugandans bagamba nti we had disabre nga tufuna results net style naye ku Micho we can win naye nga tetuwangudde in an ugly way.
Nze ndowooza n'ekya disabre nkyogeddeko emirundi mingi kiri overrated nti Coach Disabre yasanga tiimu ng'already eri mu peak. Kyanjawulo nnyo okusamba ne tiimu eri mu peak n'okusamba ne tiimu eri mu formation. Kuba tiimu eyo yali emalirizanga buli musambi yenna gw'oyogera naye gw'oyogerako yenna ali mu peak ye. Ekyokubiri omupiira gwe twasamba under Coach Disabre mu qualifiers era tegwalinga nnyo gwa njawulo nga gwe twasamba omupiira gwe twogerako gwe twasamba e Cairo. Naye twakwata tiimu eno ne tugitwala Abu Dhabi n'emalayo wiiki 3 n'ebeera extremely fit. Nti omusambi yene yali asambye ku mupiira okimanyi nti bw'obeera fit okola n'ebintu byetasobola kukola nnomalira. Nze ndowooza nti tiimu yaffe mu 2019 yali fit nnyo okusinga okuba nti yali emanyi nnyo ng'era esamba bulungi nnyo. Kyova olaba nti twatuuka essaawa abasambi bangi ne batwalibwa ate era bonna ne bakomawo. So nze ndowooza nti yes kocha akola bulungi naye oluusi ne state gy'asanzeemu ttiimu naye esobola omuyamba okumuwa ekifaananyi kyakola.
President, in the interest of time, njakubuza ku nsonga ya TV rights yabadde nnyo ku social media. President, wagenze n'otuwa example ya Mauritania FA that they have a TV. Don't you think that you're quoting a country that we're even far better than them in terms of football? Whatever the while countries is really modern to government. Okay, in England they have the TV. Or to and see actually we can't copy from them.
So simanyi lwaki omuntu yandyogedde nti tosobola koppa kuva Mauritania. Mauritania ebadde nsi nnafu mu mupiira. N'okuva lwe President Ahmed Yahya twandigenze tugenderera ebintu byekoze. Etandise okuqualifying ogenda mu Africa Cup of Nations kumpi buli mwaka. We twogerera olwaliro bw'otunulira mu table standing eri waggulu wa DRC mu table yaabwe coaching wa Coach Disabre. So tusooke tutunuulire ebintu bwe biri tuleme kutunuulira ebintu nga bwe twabimanya. Ensonga endala nti waliwo ensi ezimu nga tezandyetaaze nakola TV olw'embeera yaazo nti bali mu nsi ng'already television zinvestinze mu business eyo ekimala. Naye ffe ne Uganda tukimanyi bulungi nti tewaliiwo omuntu yenna yainvestinze mu television kutuwa kye twagala. So tetugenda kutuula tulinde omuntu lwalifuna ekirowoozo investinge naye nga tetumanyi nti tusobola okukolera Federation Center ya television. We twogerera olwaleero it's only next media yagezezaako kukikola. Nate media house emu tesobola kukola wadde league obuliigi emu tesobola nakikola kukimalayo. So bwe tunagamba nti okay tulinde ani agenda okukikola. So nze ndowooza nti twandibadde tutunuulira value ki gye tuleese. Olwaleero buli omu ayogera ku mupiira gw'abakyala for example naye bagulabiddewa bagulabidde ku TV nga Fufa yekikoze. So tuleme kutunuulira just mu direction emu tutunuulire nti eno Uganda ani yainvestinze mu television ekola sports production. Abantu bakola televisions nyingi naye tewaliwo ekola sports production okujjako next media and I thank them for that.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, President.
The Vice Presidents and members of the Executive Committee present, ladies and gentlemen from the Fourth Estate, as it was communicated I think on Monday at the beginning of this week that we would have a press conference today about the national teams. For clarity, we said national teams. We didn't say national team. There were many decisions that were made on the 18th of March in the 20th Executive Committee of Fufa. As you are aware, the Executive Committee of Fufa is a decision-making body by the statutes of Fufa. And when we sat at Mengo on Saturday 18th March, there were a number of decisions that were made. However, we decided to pen these decisions and communicate them so that we allow everybody in the country to concentrate on the upcoming matches of the Uganda Cranes. So we thought it was important that after the fixture, the back-to-back fixture, we can now give attention to these decisions about national teams that were made on the 18th of March. I will go to the first decision. The Executive Committee reclassified our national teams in 4 categories as follows. We have the senior national teams for the men, and this includes Uganda Cranes and Uganda Corps under 23 as one category. The second category was the juniors national team, the junior national teams comprising of the Uganda Hippos, the Uganda Cubs, and the Uganda Rhinos. That's the under 20, under 17, and under 15 respectively. The third category was the women national teams that comprised of 3 teams: the Crested Cranes, as we all know it, the Queen Cranes under 20, and the Teen Cranes under 17. The fourth category was other national teams that include the Sandy Cranes and the Nile Cranes. Still at the same Executive Committee, there was a reclassification of the technical positions of these teams as follows. What we call the senior national teams will primarily compose, among others, these are key. There could be other staff to come and support, but these are key positions. And for the senior national teams, these are full-time positions. The head coach of the Uganda Cranes has a full-time job, and the assistant head coach, who will also be now the head coach of the Uganda under 23 Corps, has a full-time job. A fitness trainer, also head of Fufa fitness training unit. As Fufa, we have taken a decision to establish the fitness training unit, and the person in charge of the national team will have a full-time job to ensure that fitness cuts across to the levels of even the clubs, working with their trainers, their fitness trainers. And also there will be another position, the goalkeeper coach, who will be heading also the FIFA goalkeeping unit, which will be a full-time job, working with the goalkeeper trainers of even the clubs. On the side of the junior national teams, there will be the head coach of the Uganda Hippos, and this will be a full-time job. And this will be the coach in charge of all the junior teams, but will be supported by 2 assistants, one for the under 17 and one for the under 15. There will be also a fitness trainer and a goalkeeper coach. Those are 5 positions for the junior teams. For the women teams, there will be a head coach, Crested Cranes, supported by 2 assistants, one in charge of under 20 and one in charge of under 17, and then a fitness trainer and a goalkeeper coach. There will also be a head coach for the Sand Cranes and a head coach for the Nile Cranes. The coach in charge of junior teams will be a full-time job. So is the head coach of the Crested Cranes, who will be in charge of all the women national teams as well. So that is the first decision that was made, and we thought it was important to communicate it. The second decision was that other than the senior national teams, that's the Uganda Cranes and under 23 category, as we have already mentioned, the rest of the positions are declared vacant. For the senior national teams, we shall analyze and appraise their performance at the end of the AFCON 2023, and if there is any decision to be made, it will be made then. Therefore, we call upon competent Ugandans and non-Ugandans to apply for these vacancies. We're talking about the coach in charge of the junior teams, all of them, and the assistants as mentioned, and the coach in charge of the women national teams, and all the assistants as mentioned. That was the second decision. But it's also important that we talk about the senior national team, particularly the Uganda Cranes, and we are aware that as a federation, the team may not be posting the best of the results to the satisfaction of everybody, myself inclusive, and every well-intentioned Uganda. However, we foresaw this, and we mentioned it before, and we say the period is going to be rough. It's going to be a period of transition, and when you're undergoing transition, you are going to get some unwelcome results as you try to shift from one gear into another. As Fufa, we foresaw this in 2015. That is when we started the Fufa Juniors League. And as we speak today, there are a number of players who are still coming through the ranks. But whereas the results may not be the best that we want, there is some progress that we are seeing from where we are sitting. I will just talk about the current 23 players that have been in camp to emphasize the point. 13 of them have gone through the Juniors League. And if you have 23 players and 13 have gone through the Juniors League, it means that this conveyor belt is actually delivering the players. They may not yet be ready material for us to get the results we want. But if I can mention, Alan Okero, Aziz Kayondo, Bobos Vyaruhanga, Gavin Chizito, Ismail Muguruth, Kenneth Semakula, Richard Basangwa, Rogers Mato, Rogers Mugisha, Travis Mutiaba, Stephen Mukwala, Stephen Serwada, Toraj. These are 13 players that essentially have gone through the Juniors League. And if you have a team of 23 players and 13 have gone through this, and what is even more striking is 5 of these players actually started the match. And only 3 out of these 13 did not get a minute in the 180 minutes that we are playing. So where we are sitting from, what we see is that it must be a transition we must undergo. We have explained this before, that whenever a team is transiting, and teams transit, we cannot come from the peak to the peak. We must go down and then come back. This is what happens in football world over. Even if the team and all the best teams we support, national teams world over, they hit the peak. We have seen Egypt before winning 3 Africa Cup of Nations and failing to qualify for the consecutive 3 Africa Cup of Nations. It happens in football. It has happened to all the great teams we have seen. So our 2017-2019 class climaxed. They gave us the qualification to AFCON. They gave us the football we played in Egypt. But the reality of nature calls that these players must retire and must be replaced. But even in the most organized clubs and systems, it takes teams to transform. And for the transformation to be successful, we must be patient. We must accept that certain results are not going to be good. The quality of football we are playing may not be good, but eventually it is the only route you can take for you to get back to the top. And our instructions to our coaches have been very clear. Introduce these youngsters gradually, because sometimes just bringing them wholesale, those who understand football technically, players can be broken even if they are very good, if they are introduced at the highest level when they are not ready. So we are doing it gradually. We must balance between the results, we must balance between transitioning, but at the same time ensuring that these players actually graduate into the senior team and give us what we want. For that consideration, there are players and who are still very active at their different clubs that we have kept around these youngsters intentionally. Okwi, Mia, Awani, Bayo, Awucho, Chaya, Jamal, Halid Rwalira, they are still very active wherever they are playing. But we still think that football is played on and off the pitch. You still need these players to ensure that the youngsters graduate and get the miles in their legs that eventually can take over. We have had comments, very many, for saying, let us retire all these kinds of names we have called these players. There's still a lot these players can offer us by encouraging and growing up these youngsters, by sharing with them the pitches, the hotels, as these teams are in camp. Therefore, let us give the federation, let us give the players, let us give the coaches an opportunity. We are in the middle of a campaign. Let us run the campaign and finish it. At the end of the campaign, we shall analyze it. But if we want to make changes within the campaign, sometimes it may not be very good for the development of even the younger players. And as we speak, we must learn from elsewhere, where things have eventually come according to plan. Today we talk about Senegal. Everybody talks about Senegal in Africa. Nobody talks about their 23-year journey. This is not something that started yesterday. We might be seeing them doing whatever they are doing today, but it's a journey that has been on for the last 23 years. They have been very patient. They have gotten results that are not very good when they have some of the best players. If you remember Senegal in Egypt, when they lost the finals to Algeria, they had almost the best players in the best clubs. But when the team lost, they went back and recomposed themselves and came back for 2021, which they eventually won. So sometimes we need to be patient for us to be able to deliver what we are delivering. There is time after the campaign. The critique will come and it will be valid. As we speak today, Uganda has as equal chances as any other team in the group to qualify to the Africa Cup of Nations. And if that is the case, then we need to give this team the support it needs as a country, as a federation, as the media, and we'll have this conversation after the campaign. What will have gone wrong will have gone wrong. What will have gone right will have gone right. But at the moment, you will either be wrong or you will be right. So what we need to focus our energy on is to support the team, from the coaches, to the players, to the federation, to everybody who is doing a role. We do not have a right to win every match that we play. We play against teams that also want to come up and play against us and win. We do not have a divine right to win the matches we play. But there are also other reasons, not excuses, but valid reasons. In my analysis of the statistics, in the last 18 years, Uganda has lost twice in Nambole. In the last 18 years. And this is statistical. Against South Africa and against Togo. Now, if these are the statistics, I will give you another statistics that in the last 4 years and 6 months, we have played our home game in Nambole only once. And this is our fortress. Across all of Africa, everybody knew you don't go to Mandela National Stadium in Kampala and come out of it. And these are some of the factors beyond us, but they are statistical. Last 18 years, we've lost only twice. Last 4.5, we haven't played at home. I mean, we have played at home only once. So there is a challenge to all of us. I've been to Nambole. There is work in progress. There is very good work in progress. I believe we shall get a better facility than the one we had before. But the fact is that the facility is not yet ready. The government has provided all the financial requirements for the work to be ready. And the operators of the stadium have the money. We have done our bit to ensure that the money is not only appropriated by Parliament, but is also released. Because these are two different things. And the money has been released and has been received, and work is going on. But these are civil works. We hope, and we have heard the minister, what he has assured us, that the next game will be at home. We hope it happens. And if it happens, this will be a very good boost in our campaign. If it doesn't happen, we shall devise the means to ensure that we fight and get what we desire. I'll also take an opportunity to explain a little bit about the television rights, because there was also some confusion that came about. Now, rights are assets themselves. Football's revenues are generated from rights. And when the national team is playing at home in the qualifiers of the Africa Cup of Nations, those rights belong to the federation. What has happened that the federations across Africa have combined their rights and given them to CAF to settle them on our behalf. And these rights are categorized in territories and in platforms. The first territory is territory Uganda, the second territory is outside Uganda. The first platform is pay, the second platform is free to air, the third platform is internet, the fourth platform is radio. These are platforms. In order for CAF to generate this money for selling all these rights, which makes a lot more value, the rights of free to air in the territory of Uganda are left for the federation. And there is only one reason why. Because the federation must produce that match. And producing a match at the requirements of the Africa Cup of Nations, it doesn't cost you less than $30,000. Now we need to understand these facts. Whereas it is true we get money from government, in our accountability we can never give accountability that we produced a football match. These monies are given with the terms and conditions. Meaning the federation must find $30,000 to produce this match. It's a requirement from CAF. So what happens is that the federation looked, or what happened, for this money from out of its other sources to produce the match. And why do they keep the rights in the territory such that the federation can settle back these rights to be able to recoup on this cost? And this is what we did. Out of protecting these rights, the federation was able to get the $30,000 from the commercial partners that came on board. And for us, this was wisdom. Otherwise, the federation would have spent $30,000, and that's what we have been doing all along. And that money would have gone like that. Now the question on the other side is that why wouldn't we give a national broadcaster the game? We have no problem giving any other media house, not only the national broadcaster, the game. But it should not be at a commercial cost to the federation. If we go to the same partners, UBC goes to MTN to generate money on a game they have not paid for. I think this is not fair. We are willing to give this game to as many other media houses, not only UBC, but on condition that the commercialization meets the cost of production. If that's not the case, then it means Fufa pay the price, other people go and make money on top of what you have paid. And for heaven's sake, I'm voted the president, and one of the responsibilities of the executive that I had is to protect the rights and the interests of the members of Fufa. However, like I've said, we are comfortable to share this match, which we shall have produced ourselves as Fufa, with the other media houses in exchange of value, which does not necessarily have to be money. There is a lot of value exchange between these institutions. And I hope next time we have the benefit of understanding and time to ensure that other media houses can benefit. But what we ensured also was that Fufa TV, where the match was shown, is also available to all Ugandans on all the platforms. Fufa TV is on DSTV, is on StarTimes, and is on free-to-air. So we're also sure that we are not disadvantaging any Ugandan not to be able to watch the match. That we shall always ensure that Ugandans have access to these matches because this is their national team. I would like to take this moment to thank everybody who has supported the cause, who has supported the campaign, our different fans from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, the media, our sponsors, of course headed by MTN, ensuring that despite the matches being hosted outside the country, but we are still able to involve Ugandans in masses to ensure that they follow their national team. And of course the government for providing the resources and any other support that we have asked, we have always gotten it. Decision number 3 of the executive committee was about hosting the Sekafa under-15 boys. This is a tournament that not any other country wants to host. Since the last time we played in Eritrea, the challenge has always been that nobody wants to host it. And yet for us, it's the beginning of our juniors teams. Today we are talking about the likes of Travis Mutiaba, but where are they coming from? They are coming from this generation of the under-15s that eventually became under-17, that eventually has now become an under-20. So whereas it is a cost as a federation, we have taken responsibility on behalf of Sekafa to say we shall host the under-15 national, the under-15 boys Sekafa championship this year. And then decision number 4 is among the decisions that we took at the executive committee was the hosting of the General Assembly for this year, which will be in Moroto in October. But we are changing the format of the General Assembly from 1 day to 2 days. Because we have observed that in the 1 day we discuss the administration of football and we never discuss the football. Therefore the decision is that we shall have 1 day to discuss football and then the 2nd day to discuss football and to discuss governance and business. The composition of day 1 will definitely not be the delegates, will definitely be football people whom we are composing, and we are open to ideas such that we have a whole day where we'll discuss about competitions, about coaching, about national teams, about development, and about infrastructure. And the output of this meeting will therefore inform the General Assembly on the following day in terms of discussing the governance, if there are any governance changes, and also for business, if there are any business decisions to be made. We believe that this will give football a fair discussion at the highest decision-making organ of Fufa. Thank you so much.